Much work to do. So much work to do. Everybody walk your body. Everybody walk. You. Everybody walk your body. Everybody walk. Dancing, it's still gone. You can't dance with them tight jeans on. Strip, and fall. It's for the cool, baby. Put on a camisole. What? Hey, y'all, I'm going to tell y'all this quick story while I'm sitting in front of the school. It's real appropriate for me to tell this story in front of the school. Okay. So I told y'all in Jay Wilson chat last night, my YouTube husband chat last night, I told y'all I was going to give y'all a story about the dude I used to work with in DC that actually lived in St. Elizabeth. St. Elizabeth is the mental hospital. That's where John Hinckley, that's that dude that shot President Reagan in the 80s. That's where he lived. So anyway, I cannot remember this guy's name, but my first year teaching in DC was real crazy. So what ended up happening was they ended up sending us to this, although our school was in one place, because they were abating the asbestos in our building, they had to move our school to another building that was empty. So I was a new hire. They had a whole bunch of new hires that year. I got hired. And so this dude, he had got hired as a math teacher. As a matter of fact, that year, I think we had 4 math teachers. We had 3 math teachers on our team. We had the guy that had issues, mental issues. Then we had this girl that came from Petersburg, Virginia. She drove every day from Petersburg, Virginia to DC. Who does that? And then we had one more person that ended up working in. Anyway, this first guy, I don't think he lasted 2 months. Well, what happened is, I would go in his room, because I was the team leader. They made me the team leader. I'm like, y'all, fresh out the gate. They was like, yeah, you about to be tried in a fire. So what I did is, and I was teaching regular ed math, 8th grade math. So I walked into the classroom. Every time I would go in this dude's classroom to give him team notes or find out if he needed things and stuff like that, y'all, he would be like, he'd be sitting there, he'd be like talking to you guys. And he did this a lot. And I was like, what's wrong with this dude? Why he keep falling asleep like that? So we had a team meeting. And it was like, oh yeah, so Vivian is in charge. She's the chairperson, team chairperson, which means I'm the person that got to answer to the principal for all the dumb stuff that the team do. So on this day in particular, we were having a meeting, and they were like asking me how I got all these computers and how I did all of this. Y'all, I'm telling y'all. All right, first off, I grew up in the neighborhood. So because I grew up in that neighborhood, the kids didn't bother me but so much. You know what I'm saying? They didn't bother me like they did the rest of the new teachers. I didn't have to go through all that hazing and all that stuff and all that's the other stuff that people went through. Number 1, they knew me. Number 2, they knew my brother. So, and number 3, they knew my family, and they knew my nephews and my nieces, so they knew people I knew. Anyway, so kids didn't bother me, and they see me all the time at my niece's house hanging out when we be drinking and stuff and partying. Some of their mamas we went out together with because they hung out with my niece. My niece lived in the hood. She older than I am. by the way, this particular niece is older than me. So this teacher, he would always be dozing, or he'd be looking crazy, or like he'd be in the middle of a sentence and he'd be like, and the kids kept coming to me. They was like, Miss Jennings, something wrong with that dude over there. I was like, well, what's wrong with him? They would tell me, and they was like, and then sometimes he always carried like a little he had a briefcase and like, you know, one of them little lunch boxes, not the little plastic igloo lunch boxes, and he had like sodas and crackers and I mean just a whole bunch of stuff, and he would be like eating and he would like drool, and it was ridiculous. Anyway, so we were in a team meeting one day, and all the team would complain about him, but nobody asked him. Y'all one of these people, if I want to know something, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to be respectful about it, but I'm going to ask you. So we were sitting there, and the guy was like talking, and then he said, and I said, excuse me, and I pounded on the desk. Hey, excuse me. I was like, I noticed that you always dozing off in the middle of your words and going to sleep and things of that nature. I was like, is this something that you need to tell us as a team? Do you have some kind of medical issue that we need to know about, that we need to look out for just in case something happens? You know, what should we tell the kids and things of that nature just in case something happens? Come get one of us. You know, if something happened to you, we need to know so we can know who to contact. He goes, oh no. He said, it's just that I'm getting, and y'all, okay. I'd seen him coming in and out of St. Elizabeth's, because I lived in the neighborhood. Like, I would have to pass the gate for St. E's to go to my job. One of two gates. They had one. They had many gates. So I would have to pass the gate that the guy came out of to get on a bus to go to school. So this day, I was like, why that man coming out of the St. E's? I just filed that in the back of my Rolodex. So on this day, when we confronted him, I was like, yeah, is there something that you need to tell us? What's going on? Is there a medical issue? We just want to be, we're concerned. He goes, oh, no, my doctors are adjusting my psychotropics. And we all kind of looked at each other like, okay. I was like, psychotropics, those are drugs for people with like schizophrenia, bipolar, other mental disorders. He said, yes, you're correct. I was like, the other day, I hope you don't mind me asking this, but the other day, did I see you leaving out of St. Elizabeth's gate? He said, yeah, that's where I live. We all looked at each other and said, I be damned. I know they ain't turning a schoolhouse into a psychiatric ward. And so we were like, well, what is it that we need to know just in case? Are you going to, are you having a mental breakdown? What issues do we need to look for? Will you attack a child? Because my thing is, if you're living in St. Elizabeth's and they actually let you out every day for work release during the day, my concern are the children. Why is it somebody from a mental ward teaching my child every day that actually lives at the mental hospital? Why are they teaching my child every day? I got issues and concerns with that. Plus, he was so unkempt. He had on a tie and a shirt. The shirt was always dirty. The tie was always, because food would be dribbling and drooling out of. It's like he had this big hole in the middle of his lip, although he didn't. But it was like, because the food would always. Y'all, after we had that meeting, I went down there. I talked to the principal. I was like, you do know this is happening. This is happening. When you plan on coming through and doing our observations? Because I think that it needs to be observed. Because if a parent walk up in here, you're going to have some splaining to do. Some real splaining to do. Y'all, not to be funny, but the dude ended up, he only worked there about 2 months. maybe 3 months. Because after that meeting, the principal had to go through and he had to do some observations. Because that's just real crazy. You got somebody from the mental ward actually teaching your child. It's not like he was going to see a counselor and working. No, he lived in St. Elizabeth's, the same place that John Hinckley lives, because he shot the president. I'm talking about people that, I remember it was a lady from our church. She stabbed up her husband. Guess where she went? St. Elizabeth's. So, we didn't know why he was there. We didn't know if he had nutted up, had a nervous breakdown, or what. Y'all, that's work with people's kids. Y'all, I'm telling y'all. When we got finished, that's why they had like 3 teachers that year, because it was crazy. 3 math teachers that year, because it was all cuckoo. Because you can't have people with mental disorders, not like that. There are a lot of teachers who are on medication and things of that nature dealing with mental disorders, but I'm talking about they're not living in mental hospitals. Because if you're living in a mental hospital, that means something really wrong with you. Anywho, like, share, and subscribe. Live, love, and laugh, as my mama say, and as my daddy say. Make me a blessing so I can be a blessing. The moral of this story is, check on some of these people that's teaching your youngins, because you never, ever know. Just saying. And you might even want to ask, the volunteers that you're using at the school, where are they volunteering at? Anyway, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back at y'all later on, because like I said, I'm coming up to DC tonight, and my mama gonna ride with me. So I think we might even do a live, because that lady crazy as wet said hen. Y'all can ask her questions. She might or might not answer them. So, 2 fingers. Peace. Love y'all.